so glad you're with us. It is cycle 1, week number 4. And let's get going. We are in our Bible verse, so let's start out. Bing! So the Lord scattered them from there all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because the Lord confused the language of the whole world. Genesis 11. So let's go back in time just a little bit, and we have Adam and Eve. And God wanted what with them? He wanted a relationship with them. He wanted to talk to them. He wanted to be with them. And then they grabbed tree of knowledge of good and evil, got banished from the garden because they could no longer be with God because God is holy. So then they have children. They had Cain and Abel. That didn't go so well. And then they had more and more children. And then you had complete corruption again. God gave us as much time as he possibly could. And then you had the flood and Noah. Started over again. We're not that far away from Noah. And what happens again? The people want to grab. They want to be grabbing from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They do not want to just hear from God. And the way they're grabbing this time is to build a big tower that they think they can walk all the way up to and talk to God. Doesn't make any sense. Now these towers are important because there's these types of towers, these triangular shape, pyramid shapes, all over the world. And we're going to discuss those in a little bit. So God destroyed the Tower of Babel, and he stopped the building. I don't know that he destroyed it, but he stopped the building of the city. And he scattered people all over the world, and he gave them different languages. So one of the types of people that he scattered were the people who went northeast, and they went into what we now call China. Now remember from week 1, we have the 7 continents. We have North America, South America, Antarctica, Australia, Asia, Europe, and Africa. These people went up into Asia, which we now call China, but it was not called China then. So right here, I want you to draw a picture of the Tower of Babel. And then right here, this is an extremely ancient Chinese writing that's on a tortoise shell. Okay, now we're going to go into history. You ready? This is so much fun. Chinese characters are called Hanzi and have remained almost unchanged since the beginning of time. I'm going to pause for just a second. Hanzi are actually like little word pictographs that are put together, and then it's one picture. A lot of times when Chinese people write these out, they're not thinking about the individual pieces, they're just thinking about the whole. So it would be like us drawing a picture. We wouldn't think about each individual piece, we would think about what we want it to look like in the end. So the Hanzi were created about 500 years, the first that we've seen, were about 500 years, which is really a short period of time in the whole expanse of the history that we know, after the Tower of Babel. So a short time after the Tower of Babel, they started having Hanzi that we can now still see. And the Hanzi is evidence that the early Chinese people knew the Bible. They knew the stories of God. And of course it wasn't compiled as a Bible yet, but they knew the stories of God. And so evidence of that is the Hanzi symbol to create is speak, dust, life, walk, and mud put together. So do you remember the story of Adam, how God spoke into the dust and it created man who walks? How about the Hanzi for boat or vessel is a vessel with 8 people. Who do you think those 8 people would be? Maybe Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, their 3 daughters. That's 8 people. That's pretty amazing. So right here, I want you to try to draw out this Hanzi right here using these symbols together. So this is mouth, a square like this is mouth, and you're going to put it right here. And then this is the number 8, and this is vessel, a vessel with 8 people, 8 mouths. And I want you to draw that right here. Okay, Honor, link it to me. This is so exciting. This is so fascinating because it's evidence of God through all of the world. That God isn't just in one piece of the world. He is in the hearts of everyone. And the Bible tells us that in several different ways, that you don't ever have to hear about God to know that he is God, because there's evidence in everything. There's evidence in nature. There's evidence just in our own bodies that we have a creator who loves us. And so it's just a thrill. So in Shu Jing, the book of history that was compiled by Confucius, he wrote that Emperor Shun, who ruled around 2256 BC, worshipped Shang Di. Shang Di was considered the creator of the universe. So Shang Di sounds like the Hebrew word El Shaddai. Can you hear that? Shang Di, El Shaddai. Can you hear that? How that kind of goes? It kind of flows together. And so on one of the temple walls, from near this period of time, it says, "Of old, in the beginning, there was a great chaos, without form and dark. The 5 elements, planets, had not begun to revolve, nor the sun or the moon to shine. You, O spiritual sovereign, first divided the grosser parts and the purer. You made heaven, you made earth, you made man. All things with their reproducing power got their being." That is amazing. It's amazing that it is so similar to our book of Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth in the 7 days of creation. And it's just further evidence of a God who loves all people. All right, so we're going to go into science right here. And science says, it's sort of boom, over 5,000 years ago, the Chinese people invented tea, the umbrella, and silk. So I want you to draw a Chinese invention. And we are going to discover the physics of an umbrella this year, and we're going to sip some tea as we do science. And then finally, this is so easy for you to do. You're going to just trace these rivers. And it's the Yangtze, Yellow, and Heilongjiang are the 3 longest rivers in China. So you're going to just trace those. All right, and then you're going to do 3 timeline cards. The Tower of Babel should be super easy, right? Because we've talked about it. The Ice Age over northern regions, and Chinese Hanzi. And you're gonna do 3 timeline cards on those. So I will see you later, and I'm so proud of all the work you've done at Eden Hope and all the memory work you've done. You have done such a great job so far. I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.